Hi everybody, my name is Rachel Claire Farnsworth and I'm Wellness with Rachel. And today I want to talk with you about this wonderful little book called The Power of Reinvention. I'm part of this book, I'm part of it as a co-author, and I really felt called to write my chapter in the book because it is what I do. I help my clients reinvent themselves by healing the trauma that they've gone through so that they come back to themselves. So that's why I decided to be part of this title. I saw the title probably about a year or more ago, and I was actually the first person to get signed up for this because it was just about, oh yeah, I was like, a hell yes for this, because the power of reinvention really spoke to me. I have reinvented myself by clearing the trauma. My pattern was toxic relationships, and actually I didn't even know I was in those toxic relationships because they were my normal. I thought that's what love was. You had to give something in order to get something back rather than just be yourself. So I decided to be part of this because I help my clients release their trauma and come back to themselves. Past trauma, it can be anything. We've all gone through trauma. It doesn't have to be a really significant, life-changing kind of event. It's anything that happened that made you feel that you're not good enough, made you feel different, or that you can't connect with other people. That's what trauma is. It's anything that you've gone through. So a lot of things actually between the ages of 0 and 7 are where that trauma happened because we were unable to process it. So instead of going sort of, I don't know, maybe it's something at school, for example, and the teacher made you feel stupid. Instead of thinking, well, you shouldn't even be a teacher, you turned it inwards and thought, oh, yes, I'm stupid. And then we wear that label for the rest of our lives until we heal that trauma, because that subconscious mind doesn't update itself. It doesn't realize that you're not 7 anymore, or however old you were. So it's about looking at the past trauma. And it can show up as lots of different things. It can show up as anxiety, depression, long-term health conditions, whether it's autoimmune, all those sort of things, or even toxic relationship patterns, anything that takes you away from, feeling lack of, feeling less than, feeling not good enough. That is your mind and body going, hey, will you look at this? We've got some trauma to heal. Could you just please, hello? That's what it's doing. It's just that anxiety is there because it thinks it's of some use or benefit to you. It's trying to keep you safe. So when you heal that trauma and come back to yourself and coming back to you, what do I mean by that? I mean, it's about coming back to you in here, so that you feel whole and complete. We are limitless beings. We're having a human experience because you can't kill energy. So we are these limitless beings full of untapped potential, having a human experience. And yet ego self is where the trauma's stored. And that is making us feel that we're not good enough, we can't connect, and all those other negative limiting beliefs that we tell ourselves over and over like a crack record is the trauma response. And when you clear that, you come back to you, having that wholesome energy of feeling that sovereign being that is who you really are. And everything else is that trauma response making you feel that lack of feeling. So this book has actually become an international best-selling book. It actually knocked Stephen King off the top, put him in 3rd place for a little moment, which was an amazing achievement. But that wasn't why I did it. It was about putting my message out there so people can see that you don't have to spend years and years and years of come back next week, talk about your pain, or just thinking that because you're an empath, that toxic relationships are inevitable. They're not. They are trauma response. It's everything out there at the moment in your world is mirroring back to you what you believe about yourself. And I really believe that. So everything, if you don't like the pattern, it's inviting you to come in, to come back home to you, to change that pattern. And it doesn't have to take years and years and years of come back next week and talk about your pain. It really doesn't. We can do it in a month even. So why I shared my story, and I got real and raw and vulnerable in my story, to show that, you know, if I can do it, you can do it too. You can heal that the same way I did. And I didn't even know I was in a pattern of toxic relationships for decades. I'm probably about 47 when I had that aha moment. Yeah, 47, 48, something like that. Because I thought that's what love was. I thought that was my normal. It was my normal from way back when. And so clearing that trauma, you come back to yourself. And my pattern has absolutely broken. I've broken that, knocked it out of the park. It doesn't even show up anymore. And if toxic or narcissistic people show up in my life, I don't respond in the same way that I used to. It's like I've put my racket down, so that I'm just not playing. Okay, I'll interact with them, but in such a different way, in a much healthier level. I don't feed off my vulnerability anymore. It's a much different, it's so different, so that you know, I'm able to engage with them, but they don't feed off my energy, and it's such a different experience. Actually, it feels really good. So yeah, any past trauma that you've been through, we can clear it so that you can be that sovereign being of who you really are. And that feels amazing. Standing in your own energy, nobody's apology, not really caring so much about what other people think of you, because you're too busy being you, you're too busy loving yourself. And I don't mean that in a conceited way. It's just in a, yes, here I am. You just show up, and you're not traumatized or whatever. You don't, you know, what other people think about you doesn't really resonate anymore. It's, yes, you care about them, but you're not that negative pattern of what they think. They might be laughing at me, all that sort of thing isn't really a feature anymore. You're just standing in your own, but I'm just me. And, you know, take it, leave it, that's fine. That's how it is. So I'd just like to share part of my chapter with you so that you can see, you know, where I began, how it felt, where I started to realize that I had a pattern and I needed to do something about it. And there's lots of, you know, I do get real and raw in my story. There's a lot of emotion in there. And I'm felt called to do that because my clients get real and raw with me too. So it's like, yes, me too. And look, this is what happened to me. And this is how I understand what's gone on with you. And it doesn't matter. This is your safe place. There's no judgment. It just is. Whatever comes up just is. And we clear it, we heal it. And this is a nurturing, safe space for you to uncover it, unpack it, look at it, analyze it, release it without judgment, so that you can feel that whole energy that is who you really are. So let me just start then by starting the chapter. The chapter's called A Rapid Transformation from Pain to Passion. And I remember that day so clearly. It was the day my life changed for good. It was a winter's day nearing the end of the year, and it felt like the end of my life too. It was the end of everything I'd ever stood for, everything I'd ever worked for, and everything that got me up in the morning. It was as though my passion, my drive, my commitment had all been washed away. I felt broken, and I never felt pain as raw as this before. Trying to stay focused and continue as normal, I went upstairs to strip the bed. The pain inside was too much, and I sat down. Tears cascaded down my cheeks. I sobbed, I howled. The pain was so immense it felt physical. I felt like my heart had been ripped out. Perhaps it had, if the sound I was making was anything to go by. Eventually, my husband came upstairs. When he realised that I was crying because my two gorgeous children, who are the centre of my world, had left to live with their father because they couldn't tolerate living with us any longer, he told me coldly that I needed to just get over it, to move on and live my life. His reaction to my pain only made it worse. I began to question my judgment and my actions, to really explore how I was feeling. How had I got to this point? I'd married my husband last year, really believing that we were soulmates, meant to be together. I'd known him all my life. How could my judgment have been so wrong? He had promised me so much, and now my future was in tatters before it had really begun. The reality was that he was denying the role that he had played in my children leaving. I, on the other hand, understood my role in this heartbreaking decision that had been made. They were honest about why they couldn't live with us anymore, and I knew that my choices had led to this living situation. So that is the first part of my chapter, and I go on about how I got there, what sequence of events had led up to that moment, and what I did to come back to where I am now, from going from codependent to independent, to being employed, to being an entrepreneur. There's so much has changed in such a short space of time. And that can be you too, because everything changes quickly, easily, permanently when you clear that trauma, because you come back to who you really are. Because the world, your reality, you can't really outlive your own limited beliefs. So when your reality changes in here of who you are, the out there changes too. And so much has changed for me, and I want that for you too, because it really doesn't have to take years and years and years of endless talk about it. Let's clear it, let's heal it, come back to you and start living it the way you're meant to. Live life on purpose. That's far better energy. So I really hope that helps you to maybe have a little food for thought. The book's just 99p from Amazon on the Kindle version, and £4.99 Great British pounds as well to get the physical edition and the equivalent wherever you are in the world as well. It's on Amazon. I'll post the link in the comments too. So I really hope that helps to inspire you to really know that you don't have to put up with whatever you're putting up with. You really can clear it when you clear whatever trauma is lying within you. So I look forward to catching up with you soon. I hope you found that really interesting. Speak to you soon. Bye for now.